plan?
What's the plan, man?
What can you tell me?
I think the big thing is a return to the world of vampires. You know, in season 2, we talked a lot about family history, werewolves, witches. Now we want to talk about vampires. We want to explore the first vampires that were turned by the Michelsons in history. And we all know from Vampire Diaries, when Finn died, when Cole died, their entire sire line died with them.
Right.
So these last 3 remaining sire lines, their survival is dependent on the Michelsons' survival. And last season, Michael tried to kill Klaus. Esther wanted to kill the original bodies of all of her remaining children and wipe out vampirism. Dahlia almost, she came within seconds of destroying the entire family. So if you're a vampire and you're 999 years old and you realize that you almost died, you will probably have an opinion about that. And so these vampires are now going to descend upon New Orleans. What is their motive? They want to keep the Michelsons alive? Do they want to ensure that the Michelsons cannot die? Sometimes the best way to protect someone is to stick a dagger in their chest and drop them into the bottom of the ocean. Now they can't die, and now I get to live forever. At the same time, if you imagine these 3 sire lines as potentially having conflict with one another, if there's a war between Klaus's sire line and Elijah's sire line, if you wanted to wipe out an entire line of your enemy, all you have to do is kill one vampire, and that may seem hard, but is that an attractive possible, target of interest? Yeah, especially now that Klaus is so vulnerable. Why is Klaus vulnerable? Because he's ostracized his entire family. He doesn't have help anymore. He's angered Elijah by hurting Haley, and he's angered by Marcel. He's angered Marcel, and he also has a child to protect. So doesn't that make him a little bit vulnerable? So it's a whole new world, and some very vicious, terrible people are about to enter it. And some of them actually may be allies, and some of them may be love interests, and some of them may be the most terrible people we've ever seen. And I think right off the bat, in our first episode, you'll get to meet some of them.
Can you tease anything about the possible big bad of the season?
I would say that there won't be just one big bad. I think there will be, if I've said the 3 sire lines are returning, are there the heads of these sire lines returning? And do those vampires have allies? One of the coolest things that we're going to do is suggest that there's a world where vampires all know each other and are connected within kind of a society, and those vampires have to decide, how do we feel about the Michelsons running around and putting themselves in danger and thus threatening our existence. So there's going to be a lot of potential enemies out there, and I think we have to understand that one of the big threats is going to come from within our cast. Davina is now a very powerful witch. She is the regent to her covens. What's her perspective on the originals being in New Orleans? Marcel, who is the newly re-elected, re-crowned vampire king, what's his perspective on the Michelsons? He's never been able to take a stab at Klaus because Klaus is his sire. But what if somebody came in and said, we have a perspective on how to deal with Klaus, and it's in your best interest to join us, Marcel? What might Marcel be willing to do? That's one of the big questions for Marcel's character. And where does Freya stand in all of this? She loves her family, but she sees what a monster Klaus is. Is there a world where she has to decide Elijah or Klaus, and how that would break her heart? And where is Rebecca? Is she going to have any success bringing Cole back? Is she going to stay in Maisie Richardson Seller's body? Is she going to go back to Claire Holt's body? All those things are, potential crises we want to explore.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.